Remember to always start rehearsals on time.
When working with minors, you must be an example of a good role model.
Always make sure that you're dressed appropriately around learners.
Remember, the vocal health of your student is more important than winning a prize.
Be prepared for each rehearsal so that you can reach your goals.
There is zero tolerance for substance abuse in the workplace, especially when dealing with learners.
Respect goes both ways, so be mindful of others.
Remember to always lead by example.
Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be discussing instrumentation in choral works and vocal balance. Before we dive in, let's make sure we know the different types of instrumental accompaniment. Single instrumentation. This is when we have one instrument or accompanist. This is normally a piano or keyboard, an organ or guitar. An example of this would be Heimwee by Stephanus Leroux Marais. Chamber orchestra or instrumental ensemble. This is a selection of instruments and can be anywhere from 2 instruments or more. This could be a variety of instruments and can be piano and cello, a string ensemble, a baroque ensemble with historically accurate instruments, a jazz band which include brass and percussion, or even a pit orchestra which is sometimes used in musical theatre or smaller opera productions. Orchestra. This is the largest group of musicians, but the fun part about an orchestra is that depending on the piece, they are never the same. Some works ask for an orchestra of 20 players and some ask for 80. It is your responsibility to make sure the pieces you have selected will work well with your choir. If you have a lot of light voices, something with a larger orchestra will be difficult to put together. Now, whether we have instrumentalists or not, we need to make sure the voices in the choir are balanced. A well-balanced choir might look something like this. Sopranos and altos in the front row, and tenors and basses in the back row. No matter how we arrange the choir, there will always be singers who are next to choristers from a different voice group. It's a good idea to put secure singers in these places. This doesn't always mean the strongest or loudest singers, but just those who are more secure within their part. If we find the tenors and basses have weaker voices, then we can bring them forward and have an arrangement like this or like this. Now, how do we place singers within these blocks? Well, that depends on a singer's volume and timbre or vocal quality. If we have a singer with a loud voice that stands out, then I would place them at the back of the group. Not because I want them out of the way, but because their voice will still carry to the audience and will encourage those around them to sing out. Remember, if you have a program with songs for soloists, they should be placed in the front row so it is easier for them to come to the front. When choosing instrumentalists to work with the choir, it is the musical director's job to make sure that each group knows their music before joining the two. Remember, rehearsals are not for learning your part. They are for learning everyone else's. Professional musicians may only need one rehearsal to take notes on tempo, dynamics, etc. But students in university or high school may need a few more to understand how the music fits together. At rehearsals with instrumentalists and chorus, it is important to make sure that you do not focus on one group for too long. This can cause a lack of focus in the group that is not being worked with. Of course, sometimes things need to be fixed, but if you can wait for a separate rehearsal or include the chorus at a time, it is best to try and do so. We must also be careful of dynamics and how different instruments compare to the human voice. Wind instruments, for example, can overbalance a choir. We need to be mindful of whether instruments and choristers have the same melodic line. The words can get lost under the sound of instruments and we can lose the balance that we have created. You should not be scared to bring the instruments down and the voices out so that we can hear everything. Some great examples of where chorus and orchestra work together are found in oratorio. Listen to some of these so you can get a sense of how the singers and instrumentalists work together. A common issue is when the choir and musicians are out of time with each other. It is your job to make sure that they are listening to each other and watching you. Practice this with your choir by having them listen and learn the accompaniment so they know what the musicians play when they are singing. You can also play focus games where you adjust the tempo and dynamics to make sure that the instrumentalists and choristers follow you. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy each of these modules so you can conduct like a pro.